Hi, I'm Patrick,
And I'm Liv.
and this is the Mach-E vlog.
And today we are on our way up to Fort Collins in Colorado to see Kyle Connor and have a battle of the EVs. Woo! Let's go!
So today's battle of the EVs is being arranged by Kyle Connor with Out of Spec Studios. He has a great channel and sort of an inspiration for us when we got started with this channel. And he has arranged for us to do sort of like an EV battle between our Mach-E, a Tesla Model Y, a VW ID.4 all-wheel drive, and a Polestar 2.
It's really, really exciting, and it's funny. Like, I'm all Team Ford, Team Mach-E, and everything, but I'm really, really, really excited to see the all-wheel drive ID.4. If you watched our review of that vehicle, the rear-wheel drive, I loved it. I thought it was great, so I'm really excited to see this. It's he got it like a week ago, right?
He's had it for a few days. He has it for about a week just to do a bunch of tests. And we've driven the ID.4, we've driven the Model Y, we've driven the Polestar 2. And of course, we drove the Mach-E.
Yeah, so this is gonna be really interesting. Who do you think is gonna win?
Yeah, let's go. Let's see how it stacks up in all the categories and see what you think.
So we don't really know what we're in for. We're just heading up there. It's about an hour drive from where we live in sort of central Denver. But we know that we're going to be putting the vehicles through a couple tests. So we're probably going to get some actual stats, right? Which is a great opportunity. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and then we're going to try to look at, I guess you could say intangibles, like the look, the feel. And so that's why a lot of this is going to come down to your preferences and your choices. It's sort of like shoes, I may find a shoe comfortable, but you may think it's horrible. So,
And some people don't want high heel shoes. So everyone has different things.
okay, so let's start with the Model Y. That's the one that everybody probably knows the most about. But right now, this one's about 58,000. There's been some price increases, but that one's about 58,000. It's the dual motor long range. And then after that, let's go to somebody's sort of favorite.
Yeah, especially that color.
Yeah. Liv loves the ID.4. We test drove the rear wheel drive. This is an all wheel drive. It's actually a great price, I think. And this is one of the reasons why Liv likes it, because she's more budget conscious than me. But it's about 51,000 for this version of the ID.4. Love the color. The blue is great. I like our blue better. But anyways, and then of course we also test drove the Polestar 2 a few months ago. This one comes in, I forget what the price was. We just looked it up.
It was 49 something.
It's 49. This one has like a performance pack that bumps it up to about 53. So I think it's actually fairly nicely priced as well. I really like the performance pack for the brake calipers and the seat belts we'll show you later, that are gold colored. That looks really nice. And then, of course, our favorite, it's a fair competition, right? But Lucifer. And of course, as you probably know, we've talked about it before, ours was about 59,000 when we bought it. You can buy pretty much the equivalent thing today that isn't a first edition, doesn't have like the first edition details, and it's about 56,000 for that in today's prices with the premium. And you can now get the Grabber blue color, which sort of bums me out because it was a special color, but you can actually get the Grabber blue color on the Mach-E Select, the Mach-E Premium, and of course the Mach-E GT, which we won't go into. So we have 4 cars that are fairly similarly priced. They're all the long range editions. They're all dual motor, all-wheel drive. None of them are the performance versions of the car, or well, that one has the performance pack, but it's not like it's more powerful. It just has
What's that one that you're pointing to?
the Polestar 2, sorry. we're sort of the amateurs. We're out here with Kyle Connor
It's super
with
fun.
Out of Spec. So we're learning from him.
Yeah.
He just hit 40,000 subscribers. If you haven't checked out his videos, you
Congratulations.
should definitely check him out. As
Yeah.
I said earlier, like we were sort of inspired by some of the videos that he's done. It's great to be able to do a video with him. Check out his video. He's going way more in depth. We're
Yeah.
going to do our video sort of like we're Mach-E owners. What do we think of these other vehicles? And put it up in comparison with these other vehicles, but still at the same time, we're just looking at it as like if we were car buying, car shopping today, would we still be happy with our Mach-E? A lot of people love the styling of the Model Y. I'm not a fan. I think it looks a bit dull. I like the Model 3. I like the Model S. I just don't like the Y or the X that much. But if this is your thing, it's a very aero shape. Of course, they have the nice aero wheel covers that help with range as well. But very nice shape for an SUV, I guess, if you look at it that way. The It gives you a lot of space back here. There's actually more space in the rear of the Model Y than the Mach-E. There's more space underneath the floor of the trunk. Um, the fronts are fairly similar. Of course, the Mach-E has the drain in the front that I think is a huge bonus for me. But really, just talking about the styling, I think this is more dull. And they don't have exciting colors. The most exciting color is red, and I think it's like a $2,000 paint option, which I wouldn't pay $2,000 for red. So I'd probably go with a white or a black, but they just brought back a silver. So that would be another option. But, again, personal preference on styling. I don't like the styling of this. You may like it. So, if that's a big consideration for you, then that would, of course, decide which one you want to get. Now, one of the things that we didn't like when we had the black Model Y that we rented, and it's in one of our other videos, is the interior. I still don't like the sparse interior, but I gotta say, the white on the interior adds a lot. Like, I like this a lot better than the darker interior. And one of the reasons is the bar up here in the center console doesn't have that fake wood grain. It's white and then piano black. So I think this is a lot better look. I worry about white seats. That's why I didn't want it in the Mach E. But I know a lot of Tesla people have these white seats, and it's very easy to clean. So huge improvement, if you ask me. And still, I like a little bit more buttons. I don't like using the touch screen for everything. I like the combination of buttons that are in the Mach-E. But again, that's down to a bit of personal preference.
I gotta be honest, I actually really like the white seats. I'm terribly messy. I've dyed hair. I'm pretty sure that the top of the seats would become teal pretty quickly. So I'd be really scared of this. If you have dyed hair and you have white seats like this, please let us know. Does it rub off? Because it's most of my life I've had dyed hair. So I don't know about you guys. But I do think it looks super sweet. I agree with you about the white bar. It just looks like a spaceship. And especially with the white exterior, the white doors, there's a bug on it. Get off, get off. It looks really good. And I know it's a simple thing, but a feature that I really love is the side-by-side cup holders. So that I think is not present in the Polestar and it's not present in the ID.4. So the Mach-E and the Model Y side-by-side cup holders. Small thing, but I like it.
Now we have the ID.4. Again, we've taken a test drive of the ID.4 previously in another video that we can link to, but this is the all-wheel drive version. Looks exactly the same on all of these, whether it's all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, as with the Polestar 2. Their all-wheel drive versions look exactly the same, of course. One of the things that's like a pro and a con, if you ask me, about the ID.4 is it looks like a regular car. So with our Mach-E, one of the things that we've discovered is we have to be careful about how much attention the car attracts. So like if we go downtown to a concert, we know that a lot of times we come out, there's going to be people looking at the car and checking it out. I think this would blend in rather well. So if you want a car that blends in, not a bad choice. It looks very much like a normal car. If you want something flashy, I think, of course, a lot of people know what a Tesla looks like, but they still like checking Teslas out. They have the Sentry mode, so that helps out. The Mach-E doesn't have Sentry mode, but it gets a lot of attention. This, I think you could take anywhere and blend in and park it anywhere. You don't have to worry about people gawking at it. Or, you do have those like anti-EV people. So you don't have to worry about anybody like attacking it because it's an EV. They probably wouldn't even notice unless they are a fan of EVs, and that's not a bad thing. So The interior of the VW ID.4, the screen of the ID.4 is not as large as like in the Model Y or the Mach-E. It does have a driver's screen, which is one of the things that I don't like about the Model Y. It's a huge issue for me, but again, you may not care. A nice little feature about this one is it is attached to the steering wheel stalk or column, I should say. And as you adjust the steering wheel column, it goes up and down. So nice little feature there. It also will work with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. That's a bonus. One feature that the Mach-E doesn't have that this one has, of course, and we covered this before, is it has a sunscreen that retracts, and that's helps to keep some of the sun and the heat out during the middle of the day. We've tested the Mach-E with a sunshade that we can pop in and take out, and there's really not much difference. The Mach-E does a good job of keeping the heat out even without the sunshade, but still, it's a nice feature that the ID.4 has. One of the things that I don't like about the ID.4 is it feels a little bit like some of the materials feel a little bit cheaper. Um, I don't know. I may be wrong, but there's some details that I don't think feel as nice. I don't like the haptic buttons. It bugs me. I don't like haptic feedback on my phone. I don't like haptic buttons in cars. So it's sort of it has the buttons that I like, but they're just haptic, so I don't like that. So personal preference for me. What do you think? Do you like the haptic buttons, or do you like full buttons, or do you like touchscreen buttons like in the Model Y?
I know what you mean, Patrick, about certain parts of this feeling a little less premium than the Mach-E, for sure. I do. Like, we have the exposed track bar for the seat right here. I don't know if that's a safety issue or anything like that, but there are definitely little things like that that feel a titch less premium. I personally don't mind. I love this cabin so much. When you first open the door, I'm like, it just looks, I want to drive it. I want to be in there. If you guys know, if there's a big console, I can't drive cross-legged, which is something I have to do with my prosthesis. This is perfect. Nothing is invasive. Everything is perfect. I love the little cabin. I don't mind the haptic keys at all. So definitely tell us what you think about that. But this is one of my favorite cabins. I really like it a lot.
Now with the Polestar 2, it reminds me a lot of their other brand, Volvo. It sort of has like a bit more angular look. It's more of a sedan than any of the other cars here. I like the styling of it, but it's not like my favorites of the bunch. Of course, I like the Mach-E better. I do like the touches on this Performance Edition with the gold calipers for the brakes that matches the gold seat belts. I'll go ahead and open that up so we can see those. That's actually a really nice touch. The interior looks very nice. We eliminated this early on because with Liv and her prosthetic, that center console is huge, and it makes it so that she cannot drive it cross-leg, which is a situation unique to us, but it does create an issue. You can see, of course, it has a relatively large center screen. It's not huge, but it has Android Automotive, which is different than Android Auto. You can still use like Apple CarPlay with that as well, but it has Android Automotive built in. So like Google Maps is built in, and one unique feature of the Google Maps with Android Automotive is it will plan in your charging stops for you using Google Maps. I really like that feature. Down the road, Ford has signed a deal with Google, so they will be switching to Android Automotive, but the current generation of the Mach-E will not be getting it just because of hardware issues and compatibility issues. But anyways, that's like a very nice feature that I like. Otherwise, this is like a very nice interior. It reminds me again of like the Swedish/European interiors. If you like those, again, with the styling, I think it has a bit of that European styling, even though Polestar 2 is owned by Geely, which is a Chinese company. They have their roots with Volvo. So I think it has a lot of influence from Volvo in the styling. Other little feature that I like is the edgeless mirrors for the side mirrors. Small detail, but I think it's really cool. Very, very nice to have that extra visibility, and just a very comfortable ride. To be honest, I was coming from a Subaru WRX. If I were looking to do a one-for-one replacement for the WRX, this would have been a high ranking vehicle for me. but we decided we wanted more of an SUV body style this time, so that's why we went with the Mach-E. But if you're looking for more of a sedan, this is like a very nice option. But it actually has quite a bit of room in the back, so it's sort of in between a 3 and a Y if you're looking at it in those terms.
I don't know what it is, but I think this car is really boring. Okay, so obviously I can't drive it. Our special use case in this situation, I can't drive it, but I just think it's boring. I don't know. I if it doesn't excite me, I'm not super interested in it. The Android Automotive is amazing. I can't wait for us to get it on the Mach-E and for that to expand more. Also, so that we're not sucking up all our phone battery for the vehicle. That'll be a great thing, and that's a great feature here. Other than that, I'm bored.
Well, we're in the Model Y right now. We are not doing like a full test drive with this. We're actually just helping Out of Spec Studios. They're filming their big long video, so we'll link to that again. But we're helping them out with the B-roll for that. But at the same time, we'll get some driving impressions and how we feel driving this. But we're doing B-roll, which means sort of like slow driving in front of or behind another car while they film us. So it's not like we're going to go on the freeway or anything like that right now.
But the great thing is we're probably going to get to drive every vehicle here. So awesome time for a good comparison, and let's go.
Let's see what we can do. Do I need to put it in B mode?
Whoa.
Ooh.
Oh, not bad.
Ooh. Oh, there's the torque. Wow.
I mean,
It's all right.
bad, yeah. I'm going to try the...
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that so much. Isn't that
I
cool?
like that.
That's so casual, too.
Oh, yeah.
I want shade. Give me shade. And then, boop, you can just stop it.
That's nice.
Yeah. But I think we need more
Rear
shade.
headroom is fine. I
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm, cramped like in the Polestar, but I also don't feel like I have tons of room.
Does it feel more squished now with the cover on?
Visually, yeah, but physically, no.
Okay. I know it's your first drive, right?
Oh yeah, this is my first time with the Mustang Mach-E. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Fun.
This is so much fun. See, I drive these canyon roads all the time. I know them.
Yeah.
Oh! This is great.
That's fun riding with you.
This is great.
I love that you're enjoying it. That's awesome.
Oh man, I'm so happy this isn't like... I was so worried that this car would not be as fun as the Mustang idea. The idea of the Mustang is like it's the most fun car around, right? And it is fun.
Yay.
Yeah, it is fun.
I feel like it's an appropriate
Mhm.
Mustang.
It is, yeah. It's a Mustang. Oh yeah.
Okay, we're almost done with our comparison. We're charging up. We're going to do a little bit of an efficiency run and a little bit, but right now we're charging everybody up to at least 80%, and then we're going to go hit I-25 and do a little bit of efficiency test.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. Look at all these beautiful EVs in one row. I know which my favorite is. I know which my second favorite is. Which is yours? Everyone's at 80, so they're all unplugging, making this a fair test. Hungry, hungry cars. Okay, we all had a chat. We are parked here. We're ready. We're going to go to another charging station in Loveland, and we're going to set our vehicles to sort of the same level. So we always sit at about 68 degrees of comfort. So now we're going to turn it up to 72. We're all going to sort of try and be the same. I know we're both like 72. That's so hot. But it'll be a good judge and a good estimate if we're all around about the same. We're going to go hop on the highway and drive around 70 miles an hour. And not tailgate or anything like that. Just go for a little 20-minute cruise and then compare efficiency. So let's go. So you are locked in. 70 miles an hour. Oh, 69.
69. Yeah, we're still trying to keep the gap so that we're not drafting, but I got intelligent cruise control on with the 4 spacing. Try to make sure we're not too close. I might go to 3. But we're not doing a full efficiency test. We're only going to go like 22 miles, I think it is. And we're all starting at 80%, and we'll just see how it goes. efficiency-wise for a short little test like that. But the advantages of not doing the long one is that we're all doing it at the same time. Same conditions, same road, so it should be a neat little comparison. There's actually quite a bit of traffic, so it's we may not be able to shuffle as much as possible, and we may deviate from our speed a little bit as well.
But it would be safe to assume that we're all experiencing similar traffic since we are around about the same chunk. And how long was the test supposed to be?
We were going to do an hour loop, but we just ran out of time. We all have jobs and commitments and obligations, so we're trying to beat the sun as well as get to our other obligations.
So we're about 5 minutes away from our destination. All going pretty smoothly. Just a little trafficy, so we can't keep it all the way up, but...
And there's actually an ambulance that's been slowly catching up to us, so I don't want to pass right now.
Do you remember what the Mach-E said it was going to do?
So we're going to arrive at 67.
67, okay.
But we're actually going to arrive probably at 74 or 73.
Sweet.
And we're at 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour.
We just pulled in behind Kyle in the all-wheel drive VW ID.4, and we're about to get to the charging station. So far, the stats are looking pretty good. So I'm really interested to see what their cars turned out. We're at 74% state of charge, which is much better than the estimate. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
73.
3.5 miles per kilowatt hour.
That's pretty awesome.
So here are all the final numbers. You can see the ID.4 also had 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Model Y was at 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and the Polestar 2 at 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour. Now these numbers here are just estimates based off of the efficiency that we got and the battery size in each vehicle. As you can see, the Mach-E finished in first with 308 miles. Model Y was second at 307.5 miles. ID.4 was 254.2, and the Polestar finished in the rear with 241.8 miles. Again, just estimates. Well, now it's the next day after our big EV comparison shootout with Out of Spec Studios, Kyle Connor. We sort of shot right up until sunset and had to book it home right after that. So we decided to wrap it up here in our Mach-E with our final comments. And of course, if you wanted to know the winner, we're obviously biased, but I really do think out of those four EVs, the Mustang Mach-E is by far the favorite for us. We would definitely buy it again as our number one choice out of those four. And for me, I love the Mustang Mach-E styling. I love how it drives. I love how comfortable it is. I love the driver assist features that it has. It's efficient enough. Of course, as you saw in the video, the Model Y was a bit more efficient, but the Mach-E has a bigger battery. So range-wise, the Mach-E comes out pretty well compared to the Model Y and beats the other cars. So a lot of good things.
It was really, really interesting to have so many car people, real car people, and get their opinions on all these EVs, because the Polestar 2 was actually a lot of people's pick, and their pick aesthetically too, which is odd to me because I cannot fathom, the Mach-E is just the prettiest in the bunch. It's the looker, and the Polestar is not the looker to me, which is awesome. It's awesome that we have these options, that we have this variety for everyone to suit everyone's tastes. So that's really what drove home for me, is that everyone has something that they like that's really important to them, and we found what we like and what suits us in the Mach-E. It was really fun to spend the day out there to test drive all the vehicles, to see other people's responses to the vehicles and to the Mach-E. But the Mach-E is definitely our pick.
Yeah, going on the looks, of course, we think the Mach-E looks great, especially Grabber Blue. The Model Y, I just think it looks like a bloated Model 3. Model 3 looks plain to me, so I just don't like the looks of that. The Polestar 2 looks a little bit boxy and reminds me of Volvos, and I've never really liked the Volvo design. The others that picked it were I love the Swedish influence here. And the VW ID.4 is plain looking which I can see some of the advantages of that, but it's plain looking.
Now, here's where we slightly differ because I think I might pick the ID.4. I think it's cute inside. I think the design aesthetic on the outside is relatively cute. It's definitely plain looking, but not the same as the Polestar to me. But I would not pick the ID.4, I don't think, as a second vehicle to the Mach-E. The Mach-E is ultimately our first pick. It's the first vehicle. This is our EV, and I want to pick a sister for it. But the ID.4, being the cheapest in the bunch, is still a pricey vehicle. It's still it's just pricier, really. That's the big kicker. So I think I'm still looking for my cheap used EV, like maybe once ID.4s are sub 20,000 and they're used, absolutely I could see picking one up. But the Mach-E just shines in comparison in a lot of ways.
And that's one of the things, like, I almost want to remind you, when you look at a lot of these comparison reviews, and Kyle is not necessarily in this, type of reviewer, but a lot of times I see these reviews, and I think some of the people that were on the crew, I don't think they factor in things like cost. And if you're looking at cost, the VW ID.4 beats the Mach-E, but I think it's lacking in some of the quality, as well as it's not as quick as the Mach-E. That sort of justifies that. But one of the things that Kyle considered, because he picked the ID.4, if you compare the ID.4 to the Model Y, it's almost a $15,000-$16,000 difference if you factor in the tax credit. Of course, that may change, but that's like a huge thing. And a lot of times I see car reviewers, they'll act like everything is equal, and it's not. It's like there's like a huge price difference. And the same thing, I think another factor is the range. Now, the Mach-E wasn't as efficient, but it has a bigger battery, so I think the range, extrapolated out, is fairly comparable to the Model Y. But one of the reasons we eliminated the Polestar 2 from our consideration back when we were looking at the Mach-E was the range. First of all, it doesn't fit our bikes in the back. It's more of a sedan style. But the range, it's like when you drop below, 233 EPA rated range, that's a huge difference. And these are the things, like, you start looking at it and you're talking about driving dynamics and, how does it feel and how does it look? But there are some qualifying factors, and, the range being down that low is a huge, elimination factor for me. If I were looking at the difference between a VW ID.4 and a Model Y, that's like a huge price difference. Like from ID.4 to Mach-E, it's a significant one, but I think I see why. There's that difference. But to make a $15,000, $16,000 price difference, I could not justify doing that for the Model Y.
Now, I do have to say, for me, the thing that really stands out the most is which one do I like driving. And I think you love driving the Mach-E. Gary, who drove the Mach-E, really loved driving it too and had a great time. So for me, the one that I like driving the most is the ID.4. I would pay for that, but not as a second vehicle. And the Mach-E is still the pick as our first EV. So I just can't, I don't know, I can't justify that.
Yeah, drivability, I like the way the Mach-E drives, and I know that, I know it's not the GT performance or whatever. The VW ID.4 felt fairly like a regular SUV. Wasn't super quick, but it was fairly quick. It's the all-wheel drive model that's quicker than the rear-wheel drive that we drove earlier in the year. Polestar 2 drives pretty nice. I like it. It reminds me of my old WRX. It's quick as well, but again, eliminated because it's a sedan. The Model Y, it was noticeably harsher going into the dirt lot and some of the little potholes and cracks in the road and stuff. So it drove and handled the curves well, but 95% of the time I'm driving around town, which is straight roads with a lot of potholes and stuff like that, and I think it would bug me. Plus, I still don't like the small steering wheel of the Model Y.
But if efficiency is your thing, then the Model Y wins.
Yeah.
If a really, really responsive, sporty drive is your thing and gorgeous looks, then the Mach-E is yours. And then in my case, if you want something that just feels like a fun little normal car, then the ID.4.
And
Polestar is not even.
a couple of the people at the end, they also picked the Model Y as their top pick because of the supercharger network. And as you've seen in our previous videos, if you haven't seen them, you can, look at our channel. We've, driven it all around Denver. We've taken it on road trips to California, New Mexico. Never had any, lack of coverage of Electrify America chargers. Every single time we were able to successfully charge. So we haven't had any charging issues. Now, as I've said previously, if we needed to go to Wyoming or the Dakotas, we would be in trouble with the Mach-E. So you do have to sort of keep that in mind. But it's sort of like, I think people sometimes look at the supercharger network and like, well, they have great coverage up in the Dakotas. And then I thinking to myself, like, when have you been on those routes? So if you don't need to go on those routes, be honest. And it's like, you don't need to go on those routes. It doesn't matter to you. Or if you don't go on road trips, like prior to getting the Mach-E, we had been on like one road trip in like 3 years or 2 years or something like that. So it's not a huge factor. 95% of our charging is done at home, and any of the cars can charge well at home and satisfy your needs for driving around a city or even a region. I mean, it's really a lot to do 250 miles of driving in a day and get back home.
Yeah, so really you highlighted something that stood out for me, just researching EVs and looking at these EVs, is that range is not a huge consideration for me anymore because we have a longer range main EV vehicle. Like I'd say the Mach-E, we could say average around 300 miles. So I could get a BMW i3. I could get something with like really low range because I'm just going to drive around the city maybe 40 miles maximum, right?
Yeah. Definitely like a second EV we could get by with like 100-mile range. Mm-hmm. Just for those really long days, but more than likely even like a 60-mile, 50-mile range. And in our efficiency tests, like we were getting, as we have throughout the history of using our Mach-E, we average over 300 miles of range on the 270-mile EPA rated version of the Mach-E. So another thing that we could do for our second EV is maybe a used Mach-E standard edition,
Mm-hmm.
or standard range.
Yeah.
That's a way to save some money. So anyways, what do you guys think? What are your deciding factors? Are you worried about like, can it handle the twisty roads, and is it the absolute most efficient? And what are your deciding factors? I'm curious. And what did we miss that is a deciding factor for you that we didn't even consider? Because we're all different.
Well, and I'm sure it's a combo for you. So what is your combo? Because like for me, it might be storage, comfortable drive, and SUV body type, So what's your combo of things?
And my combo, does it fit what we need in the back? Does it look good? Is it fun to drive? Does it put a smile on your face? And is the range good enough for us to take road trips? So some of those are subjective, some of those are objective, but what are yours?
Yeah,
what are yours?
What are mine? I think actually I have a really specific type, a smaller SUV, and I haven't seen that quite yet. I've seen bigger SUVs, but I haven't seen a delightfully petite SUV other than the VW ID.4, which really is the same size as the Mach-E.
Same as the Mach-E, basically.
But there's something about the body type that makes it feel small. So I don't know. I might have to try a couple new vehicles and see. And there's a lot coming out, so we'll have to see.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. That was a bit of a crazy day, and we're trying to fit in around Out of Spec Studios filming, so we didn't get quite as much footage or driving as that we would have liked. But we still had a blast. It was still great to hang out with other EV car people.
And it was super fun to see their process and how they do things. Kyle is incredibly knowledgeable. I mean, if you're not subscribed to his channel, please do. He has a couple, so make sure you look at the channels listed on his channel. And probably most of them are his or the people he works with. They're awesome. He goes really in depth, and I just feel like he's a really ethical, unbiased dude who shares his opinions and shares his expertise. So it was amazing to be there and see how they work and to be a part of this. And I'm glad we got that opportunity to do the EV battle.
Yeah, and he was very open to, like he needed a Mach-E, but it was also like whatever you need, to film, use whatever footage you get. Don't worry about like if you get us in it or anything like that. And so it was sort of like, pretty much invited us to do whatever. Of course, we were still like being very respectful of the fact that they organized the shoot and had their staff there. So we tried to get as much as we could. But we were also very limited on time. So if you have anybody in Colorado or relatively near that wants to invite us along for a shoot, we're more than willing to do that. And if you wanted to see us to do comparisons, what other vehicles should we compare and test drive?
And if you have an EV and you would like to do a battle of the EVs against our Mach-E, that would be really fun because it might be that your EV is the used EV that I'm looking for. So that would be interesting. Like we could even do a Mach-E versus Kia Soul as our second vehicle. Should we? I don't know. Maybe. Let us know.
All right. Thanks again. Please subscribe if you haven't.
And remember, whatever you drive, enjoy the ride.
Bye.